What's up, everyone? Welcome to my corner of the internet. I'm your host, Ryan Kramer, and this is Crossover Commerce, presented by PingPong Payments, the leading global payments provider helping sellers keep more of their hard-earned money. Hey, everyone. Welcome to another week of Crossover Commerce. This is episode 160, and of course, I'm your host, Ryan Kramer. This is Crossover Commerce presented by PingPong Payments. And before we get into the nitty-gritty of this episode, just quickly about PingPong Payments. PingPong is a cross-border payment solution helping people keep more of their hard-earned money. That's right. If you are sending or receiving money internationally, and that's in the business context, of course, if you are sending money to your overseas supplier, your manufacturer, your VA, even your employees, PingPong can help you save money by sending localized currency at a very cheap rate. That means that no more going to banks for international wires, no more having to deal with the accounting issues. Save more money by sending through PingPong to your supplier. Again, when time is money, you want to save that as best you can. Really, in the day and age when Q4 is starting later this week, you want that turnaround time to be quick and effective and efficient. Make sure you're protected and make sure you save that time, money, and effort with a solution like PingPong Payments. Thank you, PingPong, again, for sponsoring Crossover Commerce. That being said, this is episode 160. Thank you for watching and listening to us live on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitter. That's right. We are on Twitter, everyone. Twitter's a thing. It's no longer Periscope. It is live. If you follow PingPong Payments or myself on Twitter, you can watch and engage with us live. That's the beauty about going live on these channels, is that if you do have questions, you can ask your questions in the comments section. So if you're listening to us and it says live in the ticker, go ahead and submit your question or your thought or silly comment if you want, or where you're listening from, and we'll be able to say hi and we'll throw you up on the screen. But if you are listening to this again on your favorite podcast platform, that would be Amazon Music, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or Google Podcasts. The list goes on and on and on and on. But if you're listening to us, we're going to be available on those platforms as well. Just subscribe to Crossover Commerce and make sure that you get notified every time there's a new episode. It's really easy to do. Just click that bell. With that being said, there's so many different things that we cover in this podcast. If you're a friend of the show, or if you know and have listened to multiple episodes before, we talk about the gauntlet, right? We talk about sourcing and logistics, marketing and advertising. We talk about launching your products. We talk about, just enhancements of marketing opportunities on and off platform, PPC. The list, again, goes on. But that being said, we haven't touched about some of the ways to protect your assets, and that would be in the essence of making sure there's intellectual property. Obviously, we've had people in the past that talk about intellectual property and protecting your products and goods. But what if you're selling your goods and making sure that if there's damaged items or goods, or just in general, someone tries to file a claim that it's defective or hurt them or anything like that, how do you protect yourself as a third-party seller? Because at the end of the day, who's responsible for the product? Is it the platform? Is it you, the seller? Who is that individual? So we are actually going to be talking about e-commerce insurance. No, we're not talking about Jake from State Farm. We're not talking about Geico. We're not talking about any of these other things. We're talking about people who are got your back, who are going to be able to help you stay protected in the unlikely, but hopefully unlikely, but potentially event that there might be occurring, depending on what you sell. If something goes wrong, that you're going to be protected and safe and secured, and it's not going to cost you your house or your business. So that being said, I brought in local to me expert, Ashlin Hadden of Ashlin Hadden Insurance. She actually is 10 to 15 minutes away from here locally. So it's actually the closest and most local person that this podcast has been to our guest. Not around the world. She's just a hop, skip, and quick drive down the street. So that being said, she is one of the foremost experts in this space right now and has got a lot of important and special dates for you if it's a private label seller, but just in general, what to be looking for in terms of protecting your assets, and that's your business. That being said, let's welcome on to Crossover Commerce, Ashlin Hadden of Ashlin Hadden Insurance. Ashlin, welcome to Crossover Commerce.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing well. Like I said, we could have had this in person, but I mean, said you have so many things going on right now where we should do a live podcast together just because we're so close together. But
Absolutely.
It's nice to have a local Hoosier on the show.
All right, we got to know. Are you a Colts fan?
Unfortunately, right now, if you're, I am a Colts fan.
I'm a
If you're,
huge Colts fan.
okay. So, did you travel down to Nashville this past weekend? That's the first question.
I didn't. No, I'm
Okay,
stuck
probably
in
good.
the office working with e-commerce clients who have waited till the last minute to get their insurance.
Oh man, look at that little tease right there. No, it's sad too. I would say Indiana. So I worked for the Pacers and Fever for friends of the show. So yesterday was actually kind of a huge day here locally. If you're a fan in sports, they renamed the entire arena that actually has had the rights up in the air for I want to say a solid 4 years right now. When the deal, but they actually renamed Bankers Life Fieldhouse now to Gainbridge Fieldhouse. Thoughts
I have
quickly on
not
that
heard
as
that.
a sports fan. Yeah, that was announced yesterday. So breaking news here about sports on the e-commerce podcast. Yeah, new local sponsor for the big field house here in downtown, which is going to be opening up in October after phase 2 of their construction. So if you're a big sports fan, that was announced yesterday as well.
I mean, that's basketball.
That is well, we are in Indiana, and for people who know that is a big deal here in our state. But football, like you said, yeah, it's a fall sport, but a lot of people kind of get with the fall weather, no matter where you might be here in the United States, but then also around the world. See what we're gonna call it seasons and cycles actually come in big waves, and it's almost like an indicator of, oh my gosh, I have to think about these things coming up. Like right now, it's fall. The leaves are starting to change colors. That in my internal gut is telling me, oh crap, Christmas is coming. And
Right.
that is the weirdest, that is the weirdest e-commerce like siren coming off on me. But that being said, Q4 starts literally this week. But just to kick off e-commerce insurance and everything like that, I've never heard of someone who specializes in specific e-commerce insurance. Is a difficult thing to do, or is that something that kind of just pulled you in that direction? Like, what's that background for you for
Yeah, so
someone who hasn't heard about?
I didn't know anything about e-commerce insurance until a little over 5 years ago when one of my personal lines customers came to me and said, "Hey, I'm selling on Amazon and I was reading through the terms of service," which nobody reads through the terms of service.
Yeah, good for
And
them.
the terms of service says that I need this insurance policy. Can you help me? And I was like, I didn't even know there was third-party sellers on Amazon. Nobody at the time liked online retailers because there's been no insurance is all about risk and looking back over history and like the actuarial data, and nobody had any because nobody had policies for these types of people. So the insurance companies wanted to stay away from it, and I was like, it's just not worth my time. It's going to be hard. Like, just go away, please. And he kept bugging me. And so I was finally able to get a carrier to do it. And he came back and was like, "Hey, I've got this group on Facebook and there's 15,000 of us in here. And maybe we're all going to have to do this. So can I share your information?" And I was like, all right, maybe this is worth my time now. So I kind of
Unfortunately,
got in the
clients,
group
yeah.
and answered questions, and I was on the phone all the time, and everyone kept saying like, nobody likes us. Nobody wants to work with us. Everybody hates us. And it just, I don't know, it like pulled my heartstrings. And I was like, you guys are like the redheaded stepchildren and nobody likes you. And I was like, you know what? Screw this. I'm going to do it. And I'm going to focus on helping getting you guys protected. I'm going to do it. And it kind of just snowballed from there. So it went from one Facebook group to another Facebook group to getting asked to present at a conference, and things have just gone absolutely crazy. I've been to over 50 conferences. I've spoken at over 40 conferences. I went to China to source with some of my clients just so I could see how people were sourcing. So I eat, sleep, and breathe Amazon now too.
So hopefully they're working with you right now.
Yeah.
If that's the case. So you go to that, and because there's no market. That's what you're saying. There's just literally no market.
There was no market at the time.
Okay. So
yeah, we had to create it.
Right. So you created your own niche, which I really love. And for the listener who's listening to, they could probably, kind of see a lot of similarities because they themselves have to find this niche or this product or service that has to fit and find space in this world of e-commerce and entrepreneurship. So that's really fascinating. You have to build your own business, basically, that wraps around people who are constantly pushing the envelope and innovating in the world, as you know, current terms and services constantly are changing, which is nauseating, frustrating. Everything's constantly changing. But probably in a world of like other insurance, there's probably more consistency, right? There's probably like, oh, it's like seasonality, or it's pretty easy to dictate. Like, yeah, if like your hail damage or something like that we had here locally in March. Yep. Well, if there's so much damage, you're gonna just write a check for a roof or something like that. That's probably like a playbook. There's probably more intricacies, but is this where it's kind of like every single client is literally unique
Exactly.
policy?
I was going to say it's hard because you guys sell whatever you can make a buck on. It's not like some people have little niches. Somebody's, in toys or baby or home or kitchen. Some people do that. But majority of people are just like, hey, I can make $10,000 on this product, and I can make $15,000 on this product, and oh heck, here's a fidget spinner with a knife on it, and I can make money with this one. So it's difficult to find a company that wants to insure the variety of products e-commerce sellers sell. Toilet paper to fidget spinners. It's just it's difficult sometimes.
So you jumped in, what you said 5 or 6 years ago. That
Yep.
I always call that, you probably heard the term, the Wild West days of Amazon. So that would be put you around what, 20 at this time in 2016 or so. So people can throw literally any product on Amazon for the most part, get really successful. What's kind of the landscape at the beginning? Is it pretty much like what were people initially asking to be covered under? Because Amazon came at them with certain policies. Was it because of the policies that Amazon was inflicting, or they're like, hey, I'm not sure if I can get in trouble for this. Maybe I should get some sort of protection. What was kind of like those initial
I would say about
conversations?
1% of the people say, hey, I need to get protection because I think I'm selling something risky. Everybody else is like, Amazon is making me do
I'm told
this,
to.
so I need to do it now.
No, that makes sense. Yeah, because I'm told to, now I have to follow and be compliant. So Amazon's telling them, what was that policy like back then versus what it kind of is, and it's kind of
Yeah, so
alluding
back
to
in the
right now.
day, it always had said that you need $1 million general liability with products completed. And what that means is general liability is more what you do or say as a business. So I sell this pen and I say that this pen's going to make you look 50 pounds skinnier just by holding it next to your face. And I buy this pen and I'm like, no, this pen makes me look fat. And I sue you for like false advertisement. That's going to be general liability. Now, if I take this pen and I'm walking down the street and it jabs myself in the eye and now I go blind, that's product liability. That's going to be what your products do to harm somebody. So they've always wanted that. In the past, for the last year or so, they were saying if you do 10,000 in sales for 3 consecutive months, they are going to require the policy. They're gonna police the policy. It's always been required. They just weren't policing it. About a year ago, they said, we're going to start policing it at 10,000 for 3 months. Then they came out on the 1st and said that 10,000 for 3 months now is 10,000 period. If you've done 10,000 in 1 month, now it's going to be required. And now they are policing it like crazy. So they sent out mass emails to everyone saying, hey, we're giving you 30 days to upload your certificate of insurance. If you don't upload your certificate of insurance, we're going to suspend you. Then they sent out another email on the 15th, 9:15-ish, and said, hey, we noticed you haven't got it uploaded yet. If it's not uploaded by the 30th, we're going to suspend you. So we really I think this is the last warning. Who knows? I mean, it is Amazon. They've extended it a couple of times, but they are sending emails if it's not uploaded to customers. So I think
so for all intents and purposes, right? I was gonna say, for all intents and purposes. So if you're listening to this and you're an e-commerce seller and you don't have a policy, and you sold $10,000 in 1 month, that date for that deadline is September 30th, correct?
30th. Yeah, you get 2 days.
So yeah, today we are live now on the 28th. So that means that Ashley's phone should be ringing off the hook in theory right now after this, and she has people standing by to make sure that you're covered. If you had to guess, is there a significant amount of people who are not taking this seriously, a lot or a little? Like what's kind of that threshold, if you will?
So I've been saying this for 5 years, and people are like, whatever. girl, you're just trying to make some money. But we knew this was coming. We've said, hey, this is in the terms of service. At some point, Amazon's going to get sick of dealing with claims that they don't have any deal in. They've been in court so many times, and they're like, hey, I'm tired of taking responsibility for my third-party sellers putting crappy products on. You're going to put crappy products on the platform. You're going to be responsible for it. In the last 2 years, I've seen so many court cases over and over and over again. I've warned, like, this is coming. They're sick of it. They're pushing this back on you. So there's been so many people that haven't taken this seriously. Like, I'm not doing it until they force me to do it. I'm not doing it. So then the last 30 days or so, we've seen, at least 200 a week of applications that we're getting where people are like, I have to have this now. And then the last 15 days after they got that second email, they're like, all right, I think they're serious this time. I guess I have to get it. So I think
is this for
taking it seriously.
Yeah. So, well, Amazon, so there's this shift, right? You've seen watching Amazon for this, the last 5 years or so. Amazon seems to have this actual pushback on lots of different negative feedback they've had over that time span, if you will, right? Bad reviews or just falsified reviews. Amazon's kind of taking the swift approach of, hey, we're going to find you, we're going to figure it out, and if no matter how big or small you are, it's going to come down hard and swift. You're going to get kicked off, and that's actually led to top sellers actually being kicked off. It's middling sellers, new sellers being kicked off. But this is another thing I think a lot of people are just not aware of. So in theory, going back to the marketplace again, well, who's liable? If you're talking to an insurance person, which we are, and then also a lawyer or someone who's protecting you. At the end of the day, Amazon's a marketplace. They're selling goods from different third-party sellers and their own products for two different consumers. At the end of the day, is something what happens to if something breaks or causes harm or damage or falsified claims, and it's not what is represented. It's actually always been up in the air of who's on the hook for that. Is it Amazon or is it the third party seller? But now you're telling us like Amazon's passing the buck. It's always been the third party seller, right?
So there's two
or is that shifted?
Yeah. So two things that we really look at. If you are doing just complete RAOA wholesale, I'll tell you this now. You will probably never be held responsible for $1 million product liability claim. So if I'm just reselling this big pin and I jab the big pin into my face, I'm going to sue you as a third-party seller. I'm going to sue BIC. I'm going to sue Amazon, and I'm going to sue the manufacturer of the big pin. Me as just a retail reseller, I will never be responsible for $1 million. But what I will be responsible for is to hire an attorney to defend myself, to say, hey, I'm not responsible. And if I don't have insurance, I'm paying that attorney out of my own pocket, and defense attorneys are like $450 to $600 an hour. So you're paying for that. Now, if I take this big pen and now I private label it and I make it Ashlin Hadden's pen, I now am 100% responsible. I have changed the original packaging. I have put my name on it. And now Big Pen is not responsible. Ashlin Hadden is responsible. So it just depends on what type of seller you are. If you're just reselling, you probably won't be responsible. You're going to be responsible for the attorney fees. Mm-hmm. If you're private label, you will be 100% responsible plus the attorney fees. So private label sellers, there is no reason in the world you should not have insurance. Even with all this stuff going on with Amazon, it's required. But there should be no reason you are selling anything with your name on it without having insurance.
Right. And that makes sense because at the end of the day, something as, again, it can be as minute as, like you said, it blowing up or actually injury, cause injury to somebody. Again, that's not a small thing, but if you put your name on it, by definition, that's what big companies, big brands are doing almost daily, is fighting off claims left and right of, hey, your product isn't what it represented or it caused injury and harm. But at the end of the day, it goes back to your marketing, but then also goes back to the product itself. So it's super important to have yourself protected or your business by just be in jeopardy in general. So I'm sure you have plenty of different questions or like case studies and stories of consumers that are coming to you and say, listen, like this is what happened. I didn't get coverage and that brand is no longer available. Is there a specific story you can share with people of maybe scare them into, hey, this is what happened because they didn't?
I have a lot of scary stories. So one of my favorite that I like to tell when I speak at conferences, because a lot of people come to me and say, I don't sell anything risky, so I don't need insurance. And that's one of my favorites because we actually had a claim, and I don't even remember what the dude was selling, but let's say it was the pen again. So I'm selling this pen. It was RA, retail arbitrage, and it was shipped to this guy's house. Well, the guy tripped over the box and broke his hip and broke his clavicle. He sued USPS, he sued Amazon, and he sued my client. Well, of course, my client's not responsible for this dude's broken hip and his clavicle, but we had to hire the attorney because he had insurance to defend him from this. It was over $30,000 in legal fees just to get our client's name dropped from the lawsuit to say he wasn't responsible for this dude tripping over a box. And the guy's policy, our client's policy, was $600 a year, and he had $30,000 in legal defense paid for. If he wouldn't have had insurance, he would have had $30,000 in legal fees that he would have had to pay on his own.
So,
isn't it stupid?
Yeah, well, I was gonna say, it may be like we take some questions because I know people are just rolling this in already. How does a person come? How do you get notified first? Like if I'm a seller, is there like again, if you're a crime person or anything like that, it's called the statute of limitation. Is there a statute of limitation when someone can file a claim of the product was like 2 years ago and now they've all of a sudden they want to file something against you, like because it broke or didn't last as long? What's kind of that statute of limitation?
Not really on like the insurance side. The insurance won't pay for a claim unless you had insurance during the time that you sold it. So let's say you sold something yesterday, but you just started your insurance today. It's not going to pay for something that you sold yesterday. So we can't insure a burning building. Get your insurance now, and then it would cover everything from the day that you buy your insurance moving forward.
Well, that's fascinating because if I've been in business for 3 years and I've only sold it 2 years ago, this person bought it 3 years ago, whatever that claim might be, in theory, it might not be covered because of
you didn't have insurance then.
Order ID. Yeah, you can pin it back to order ID and when that was purchased and whatnot.
Exactly.
So, wow, this is a case study. I'm assuming that's going to continue to go on because as brands and acquisition. So that kind of leads me. Maybe I can take a pause and I'll start to formulate my thoughts. But some people actually said hello to my Raul. Friend of the show, Raul Shaw. Two of my favorite people. He had a couple of firing here. Claims on products need to be proved, so never claim them necessarily. Does that make sense to you, Ashlin?
Yep.
Yeah, just not file it. Don't file a claim that's something that's not necessary that you can't just handle yourself. I feel your pressure. Here we go. This is commentary. Sellers need to get serious and not to do things last minute or only when they get caught. The attitude is no change. Also calls gurus need to teach the right things, not to just get profit ticks. Wow, this has lots of takes today. Look at this. Sellers selling in the CE market, marked products in the EU are allowed by law to have authorized representative in the EU effective from July 16, 2021. An authorized representative will ask for insurance before they represent the seller. So
it kind of brings up another point too with some of our clients who come back and say, well, hey, I don't sell anything risky or whatever. If you commingle in the Amazon's warehouse, there's no way for us to track back if your product was the ones that harmed them or someone else's product was the one that harmed them. So again, you're going back to, I can't prove as an insurance company that it was yours, so you're going to have to pay out. So just remember, it's not even your products. If you're commingling products with somebody else's products, you still could be responsible, even though it might not have been yours from the factory.
So if I'm selling a pin and right next to me in an FBA warehouse is that fidget spinner with knives, and they can't determine which one is which, whether they don't have video evidence or anything like that, they can in theory claim against both. And I have no way to say, well, because my bin was next to this one, right. I can't say for a fact that this one didn't harm somebody.
For example, we had a claim of, they were like these exercise bars that you like put over the top of your door and you kind of like pull them down like this, and they're like resistance bands kind of things. Sure. And we couldn't prove that it wasn't her. So she's like, mine come from the factory. Mine are all tested. Mine have all been approved. Mine have all been stress tested. Here's the video. Here's the online on how to install it correctly. Here's how to, she had everything. Really, when I first got the case, I was like, this is open and shut. We've done everything right. Everything looks good. But come down to the end of it, they couldn't prove that she did do anything wrong, couldn't prove that she did everything right, and that it was her product and not someone else's product. So they ended up having to settle the claim. I got the check right here, $601,854.22.
$601,000.
$601,000 because this thing snapped off and hit the guy in the eye. And her policy, so exercise equipment private label is more expensive. Her policy was about $5,000 for the year. So it is a little bit more expensive on that side, but it was a $601,000 payout.
Okay, so yeah, this leads me maybe to my next question. Risky versus non-risky. What's kind of that degree of separation of what are your open to shut cases? Like there's literally no risk or reward. Like I could be protected with like a nickel or something like that. It's not true.
So
but
the top 5 riskiest is on the body. So lotions, makeups, that kind of stuff, topicals, in the body, supplements, food. So on the body, in the body for a pet, for a child, or exercise equipment. Those are your top 5. Like this is where the claims are happening over the last 18 months.
So if I'm a supplement or if I'm in the baby category, topical, consumable, or exercise.
Exercise.
And this is just another reason why exercising is just terrible.
I know, right?
It's not true. This is not an exercise podcast. We're not going to get an argument about that. This is an e-commerce podcast. So for something like that, so in the exercise arena, I'm assuming because there can be strain on a body, injury can happen a lot more risky than say if I'm again riding with a pin or something like that. There's a percentage of more risk by using or selling a product.
And you got to think, okay, so some people say, well, for example, I had a lady doing like those little baby Bjorn things where it's a fabric that you wrap around your body and you stuff your kid in the top. And her policy came back, I don't know, it was like $7,000 or something like that. She was doing an astronomical amount of sales. And she's like, Ashlin, it's just a yard of fabric. Nobody can get hurt on it. And I said, you've got to understand that yard of fabric is responsible for holding a 15-pound child 5 feet off the ground. If the Velcro breaks, if you fall, anything happens, you now are responsible for the brain damage of that child for the rest of its life. And she's like, I never thought of it like that. And I was like, exactly. You can't just think of what the product is. You have to think about what the product could be used for and how it could be misused. It could strangle somebody. I mean, you've got to think about all of the other crazy stuff that could happen that it's not designed to happen, but could actually happen.
So even if it was used without its intended purposes,
absolutely,
a product in theory could be used as a weapon. It could be used as a damaging product. It could be like has wheels, like for some reason or another. If the toy is just for a child, it has wheels. Someone steps on that thing and takes off. All of those things apply.
Like if somebody gets hurt, there's always got to be somebody to blame. And that's just the American way. We sue anyone for any reason, hoping somebody has a pocketbook to shut us up. And it happens a lot with kids and pets. I guess we like our kids and pets, but we see it a lot with
family.
Yeah. A lot of like the sleeper stuff. Anybody who's doing any type of like bedding for children, those little cribs or side beds or anything like that. If a child in its own free will, I don't know what to call it, passes away with no reasons besides like it just happened, they will 100% blame whoever made that bed. It is Sid's, it is your fault, it is the blanket, it's the little wrappy thing, whatever. They are going to sue everyone who has anything in that crib. So if you are selling anything in baby, you're looking at least $5,000 a year for anything in that crib, bed, swaddle, blanket category.
Wow. Yeah. So I guess like because you have to, each case or in each product is so different. So if I'm a private label seller, that's per product, right? Or is this something that each brand has its own unique
Good
policy, or
question.
is it gonna have to be each ASIN different?
So insurance covers your business entity. So it's going to cover whatever products that you are selling. Now, your higher risk products are named insurance policies. So you have to say, I sell a baby swaddle, I sell a blanket, I sell a pen, I sell a mouse pad. They are listed on your policy. These are the 5 things that we're insuring. If you pick up a 6th item and you don't tell me, hey, Ashlin, I picked up a chapstick, it is not insured. You have to tell us these are your private label products in order for those to be covered. Now, on the RAOA wholesale side, sell away. Whatever you want to sell, you can just sell. I don't have to know every time you pick up a new ASIN for retail arbitrage. But private label, you absolutely have to tell us every single time. And it's based on what you're selling and how much you're selling. If I'm selling $100,000 a year, my price is going to be different than if I sell $1 million a year. It's all based on what you're selling and how much of it you are
I was
selling.
gonna say, with velocity potentially going up, or the amount that you might be selling on a given time, that probably amps up and keeps pushing your tier up or your policy up, just because the amount of people you're encountering, the amount of people are encountering your brand or goods or anything like that. So for top sellers on a given time frame, it gets more intricate. Or I'm selling like, is it just like there's formulas involved, right? You've had to develop these own
Yeah.
formulas from scratch of how often people are selling it. But this is just the United States. Is this something that if I'm an international seller and I sell in Canada or sell in Mexico, or if I sell in Australia, how does this like protect me internationally? Does
Yeah, so
that
you can add a worldwide endorsement to the policy. It's $500 or 10% of your sales over 10,000. So you could just add worldwide coverage and it would cover sales all over the country. I'm sorry, all over the world. Most of the rest of the world isn't as litigious as the United States,
Sure.
but it's a small price to pay to add those extra countries onto your policy.
Interesting. And we had another question come into earlier from YouTube. Ideal actually asked, what do you think Amazon will do if sellers won't have valid insurance after 30 days? They let sellers obtain the insurance, stop the payments, or is it a full-on suspension?
So I had a client send me their nasty gram from Amazon last week. It does say that they are going to give them 30 days. They're going to hold their payments for 30 days and then suspend if they don't produce it after 30 days. So we believe starting the 1st, if you don't have it uploaded, they're going to start holding your payments. Then they'll give you the 30 days to upload it. And if you don't upload it within those 30 days, then we believe it's going to be to a suspension.
Wow. So yeah, that's big. Just like all these other valid products of certifications, anything like that. Going through all these hoops. Now it's insurance in general. Is it better to just preemptively just buy insurance to cover yourself at the
Yes.
very beginning? Like you said, general insurance. But if I haven't even made a sale on Amazon before I even make my first sale, what are kind of those like layups, if you will? Like what are the things I need? Like if I'm a new seller, what are those things you wish they would ask you? And
my suggestion is always have your policy before you sell your first product, because you don't know if that first product is going to be the one that harms somebody. So what's the point of having the policy if it's not going to protect you from day one? I always say get it before you sell your first product, but most of your listeners are going to be selling already. So the sooner you get it, the more products, the more sales that are covered. The longer you wait, the more you sell, the less products that are going to be covered. So now rather than later.
Exactly. And now's the time. There's no time like the present to be protected. So walk me through, I guess, an e-commerce insurance. So in this capacity, this is something that's harmful. What other things that we might not have covered that insurance can maybe like help me in terms of, as a business? Like what are those other hidden things?
Another big thing that we see a lot is customers come to us and say, hey, I've got inventory in my basement, in my garage, in the storage unit, in my mom's basement, in my mom's garage, in my uncle's basement. You guys keep inventory to prep and ship out. Now, usually you're not keeping it really long unless you're fulfilling by merchant. But a lot of people say, well, my homeowner's insurance is going to cover that. Well, unless you can lie to your homeowner's insurance that you've got 50,000 toothbrushes because you only use your toothbrush one time and you want a new one every time, they're going to know it's for a business and they're going to reject your claim. You have to insure your business with your business and your personal with your personal. They don't cross over. They're not going to pay claims if they know it's for a business. So the other big thing that we add to these policies is inventory coverage. If you've got $30,000 in inventory to prep before Q4 and you have a fire in your house or in your garage, you're screwed. You've got no coverage. That's $30,000 right out the door. So for a couple $100 more a year, you can insure those products. Another thing that we hear a lot is prep centers, is that they've got products at prep centers. I insure hundreds of prep centers, and I could tell you probably less than 5% of them actually insure the products for the people that are using their prep center. If you don't have insurance extended to that prep center and they have a fire, they have a theft, or they shut down and just walk away and your products are there, again, you've got nothing. You can add that to your policy, extend coverage to that prep center, and if something were to happen, you control the claim, not waiting on them and hopes that they have insurance to cover your products.
Wow. There seems to be all these different actual outside factors. Like you said, there's all these different storms that can hit in various ways along your journey, from just sourcing to all the way to getting in the consumer hands, and doesn't even stop even after that. So with that being said, I'm assuming coverage would cause if like a boat went down, or like a tank, like a freighter kind of capsized by accident, and you have goods on that boat. Insurance can cover that in theory.
If you had cargo insurance, and that's
cargo insurance,
that's a different policy too.
That's a different policy. Well, I was going to say there's all these different kinds of policies. So with that being said, is there, what about, so at the end of the day, when brands, and I guess my exciting thing of beginning to end, cargo insurance, obviously important. We can talk about that if you want, but as you exit your brand, and I'm kind of curious about this fascination, what's going on in the space right now. I'm selling my brand to an aggregator, a private equity, or whomever. When I exit, at what point do I need to, am I passing on my policy to them, or am I, what's kind of that transition period if I exit a brand?
So one more policy. So there's a policy called a tail policy that you can purchase to extend your coverage for a tail part of a time. So 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, that you can say, hey, I'm covering these types of products. Because again, your insurance is only going to cover for the time you own that business and you sold it. So when that new business comes in, they're going to have their own insurance policy, and they're going to cover products from the day that they buy it moving forward. So if you just say, hey, I'm done, I'm walking away, and someone comes back and has a claim from 6 months ago, the new buyer's not going to cover that because that was your business at the time. And if you don't have insurance, you didn't extend it, then you're paying for it out of pocket. But what's, not to plug myself, but that's what's great about working with somebody who's in e-commerce. We ask those questions. It's not like go online with Progressive and get an insurance policy.
Get a free quote.
We ask where you're sourcing. We ask if you have products in your car. We ask if you're shipping from overseas. We're asking what platforms you sell on. Do you sell on .com and .eu and China? Like, what other platforms are you selling on? Do you use your vehicle for personal use, like, or business use? We ask those questions, and we build a policy for you that protects you for all of these risks. If you don't want it, fine. You can come back and say, Ashlin, I want the bare bones basic that Amazon has required me to have, and that's all I want. At least I did my job in saying, hey, here's your risks. Here's where we see that you could be potentially liable for things, and here's where you're going to need a little bit more coverage. It's your choice. If you don't want it, that's fine. But at least we asked you those questions and showed you, hey, these are the options that you've got out here.
I was going to say, because I mean, now the brands are becoming, I say a lot of people are becoming now brands, and they're building these brands, and they're building these quote empires, if you will, and even exiting. there's more at risk now than I would say almost ever in the time that we've both been in the space. And that's the most fascinating thing is if you're not protected, there could be these outside things. Maybe a couple more questions before I let you go today. If someone attacks me, or if I get like, there's black hat tactics that go against myself and I get harmed because of that, or my listing goes down or something of that sort, what's kind of something that I get protected in that regards because of I'm down because of lost sales or anything like that? Is that possible?
There's nothing right now. So we did have the suspension insurance. It wasn't working and paying out correctly. So we did pull that off the market. I am working with another company to do it again. We just got to make sure it's darn right this time and that it actually pays out claims. So right now the answer is nothing, but stay tuned. It's coming.
Well, that's good. That's good. That's a good thing to know because people, I'm trying to think of like the more popular things that are going on right now that obviously lots of people might be affected by, just to kind of like get that momentum going. But even still, any operation of business, there should be protection in that regards. But is there anything like going into Q4, is there seasonality with this industry that there's a lot more claims in certain parts of the year versus not?
There is, only because you're selling more. So Q4 is typically our higher claims, but that's because you guys are selling a lot more. We also see more claims in a down economy. So we have seen more claims in the last 15 months than we saw in the prior 15 months. And it's because people are looking for a quick buck. People want to make money really, really fast and not work for it. So if they can sue somebody and get a chunk of change, they're going to do it. So Q4 does seem to be higher than normal. But other than that, not really.
Nothing crazy.
Nothing crazy. There's just crazy people all year round. You're just selling more in Q4.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think I have my questions answered, and like I naturally are. There's a lot of different black holes you can go down, and obviously dark holes. But for Ashlin, again, with time, and I know you're super busy today, and I kind of want to be respectful of that for people who might have like questions, because again, I can't ask all these questions because each product, each brand, there's so many different variances. If people are going to be connecting with you or like working with you, or they have those questions, how do they reach out? How do they connect? How do they, how do they find out more information?
Right. So we are extremely, extremely busy. I'm a group of 5 women here in Indiana. We are trying our hardest to make sure that we get to everybody. We just can't answer the phones right now and have a 30-minute conversation with everybody. So the best and easiest way to kind of get things started is to go to the website, which is the www.ecom.insure. So www.ecom.insure. If you go there, there's a application. It says I private label or I don't private label. Make sure you pick the right one. If you private label, click the private label one. Complete the application as best as you can. The biggest hiccup we are seeing right now is you have to have a U.S. address. You have to have a U.S. EIN. So if there's anyone who does not have an EIN or a U.S. address, we cannot help at this time. You can get a U.S. EIN and you can get a U.S. address very, very easily. Get that, then complete the application. Once you get the application, we'll send it over to you or send over your quote. If you have questions at that time, then absolutely we can get on the phone call and call you. But we know what we're doing. We've done it 7,000 times in the last 5 years. We know what Amazon wants. We know how to get it approved. We know what drop shipping is. We know your situation. It's not unique to any other e-com sellers. So we get that a lot. Like I have to talk to you. I have a very unique situation, and they're just drop shipping. We know what it is. We know how to handle it. Fill out the application. We promise it will meet Amazon's requirements. We'll get you approved. We'll get you going. Just fill out the application, and then if you have to have a phone call, then we absolutely will give you a phone call. But go to the website first, please.
I was going to say probably 95% of it can be answered at the website. It's pretty intuitive.
Absolutely.
I've done it myself. And I'm not even an Amazon seller, or I haven't sold in a long time. So I was going to say it's pretty intuitive. Check her out and check Ashlin. Can they connect with you on LinkedIn or like you have forums or Q&As and things like that?
Facebook is great. I'm on Messenger, Ashlin D. Hadden or Ashlin Hadden Insurance. You can connect with me on there. I'm not on LinkedIn very much. I'm on there. If you want to send me a message there, that's cool. But I don't check that as much as I do with Facebook Messenger. We're on Twitter
Facebook
and
Messenger.
all of that stuff too, but probably Facebook.
All the social media, exactly. You got to pick yours and you got to stick with it. No, that
I'm even
sense.
on
Well,
TikTok.
Are you really? All right, now I have to
started.
check that out.
I haven't put a lot of videos up yet, but
well, for a team of 6, and yeah, as busy you guys are, like, is there like what's that next step for you guys? The 5 years you've hit, plus is it growing? Is growing the availability? Like, what's that growth factor?
Yeah, so the biggest thing right now we're trying to grow is just having more markets. Once you have those high risk markets, the price goes up there, and we're really just trying to find more economical prices. Now that we've got some statistics, we've been doing this 5 years, we know what the claims look like. We just want to make sure that everybody can afford to have a policy. So now it's just kind of helping our clients, making sure that you guys have the right products and the right prices.
Amazing. Well, Ashlin, thank you so much again for hopping on today. I got a notification someone's on the way to my house, so I don't know who that is, but I don't know. I don't want someone to interrupt our podcast episode. But for more information, obviously connect with you on those ways. Absolutely. And then your website is in the comments and show notes section as well. So thank you so much for hopping on. We'll have to do this in specific roundtable or something else, part 2.
Maybe end of Q4 once everybody's insured.
I was gonna say, after everyone's insured, if you're not insured, and we actually had a comment, our friend, don't get it today, people, don't wait, call Ashlin right away. Look at that, it's like a tagline, like he already made marketing for you. So that's amazing. So thank you so much, Ashlin, for hopping on today, talking e-commerce insurance. Bye. Thank you everyone again for hopping on Crossover Commerce Day. Again, this is a look at a brief insight into e-commerce insurance and whatnot. Again, so many different unique things you have to look at as an insurance from the insurance perspective, but then also as a person who, you might not have all those intricacies that Ashlin talked about, but if you're exiting a business or if you're trying to grow a brand and you're going to different markets, all these intricacies actually do make you more liable. So that being said, September 30th, check it out a little bit more. You need to be insured by that. And if you're selling over $10,000 a month, that's the deadline. And that is something in 2 days, as of this is going live, you have to be insured. So make sure you get covered today. That being said, this is Crossover Commerce episode 160. If you're new to the show, thank you for tuning in or watching or listening. If you're listening on your favorite podcast station, if not, we are also available again live when we do go and talk to our different kinds of guests and special speakers, if you will. This week, we have lots of great different ones coming up, but you have to stay tuned. To be notified, go ahead and follow us on social media, and then also follow myself. That's where we post all of our episodes, what's coming live that week. You can go back and listen to that. You can actually do and listen to all audio episodes on usa.pingpongx.com/podcast. Again, that's usa.pingpongx.com/podcast. It's a new website or a new page that we have for our podcast that you can listen to and check out as well. That being said, I'm Ryan Kramer. This is Crossover Commerce. We'll catch you guys next episode. Take care.